From the creators who brought you RuPaul's Drag Race and $1 Million Listing, this is World of Wonder's Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Hello and welcome to the Wow Report. I am Tom Campbell, the Chief Creative Officer is what they call me here at World of Wonder. And I am joined this week and every week by the Club Kid turned best-selling author, the editor of the Wow Report, James and James.
Yay, darling, it's nice to see you.
Our wonderful leader, our fearless leader, Fenton Bailey, is on assignment, as we like to say, because it sounds very Nora O'Donnell. But joining us is the one, the only, one of the funniest people alive, Alec Mapa. Thank you for joining us.
Living or dead? You bathed in that golden glow. What is that? Some kind of Instagram filter?
It is absolutely an Amazon ring light that I got early in the pandemic, and it has a clear or kind of a orangey filter. I'm using the orangey one.
Alec, I must say that you're looking very, very buff yourself. You look very good. How has the pandemic been treating you?
Oh, well, I just got a movie, and so I've been on a starvation diet for the past 6 weeks.
I see cheekbones.
Yeah, and so during the pandemic, I gained the COVID-19. And because I think, I was having a baguette and a bottle of rosé for breakfast every morning just to get through it. Listen, that's just common sense. That's self-care.
Now, how old is your son and how is he doing in it?
He's great. He just steps over my body in the morning. He's fine. I'm just going to brag because it's not genetic. He got straight A's this last quarter in high school.
Anything straight in your house is kind of an amazing thing.
I know. And this is a kid who grew up on the set of RuPaul's Drag Race and was raised by Willem and Shangela and Calpurnia Adams. So it just goes to show you, kids, grow up with a queer household and you produce brilliant, brilliant children.
The sky is the limit. Fabulous.
All right. We're so happy you're here. We are going to jump into the countdown because each and every week we count down the top 10 things that made us go, wow. We are at number 10.
Number 10.
It's not breaking news by any means. I think the world knows the story. But Alex Trebek, host of Jeopardy and many other things, passed away. And again, everyone knows the details. Everyone's seen the TV tributes. But it is an amazing, momentous occasion. It didn't shock me. Obviously, a couple of years ago, or less than 2 years, he announced that he, was fighting a cancer and he was going to take it and fight it. He worked up until, I think, 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
They have episodes that go until Christmas Day, which is sort of a bittersweet Christmas present.
Oh.
And, we tend to forget a lot of, human foibles when someone dies and remember them as saints. But Alec Trebek, I don't think anybody has a bad thing to say about him. And when you realize he was on Jeopardy alone for 38 years, which is
holy moly,
a career. And I remember him. I don't want to age anyone here on the panel, but there was a show called High Rollers on NBC.
Yes,
watch High Rollers
with Ruta Lee.
High Rollers.
Ruta Lee, yes. Oh my God, that's how Ruta Lee became famous, isn't it?
Well, to us, to our generation. But it was a show where the contestants rolled dice. And Ruta Lee would scrape them back and show off her legs.
Well, Alec Trebek, I have always been in love with. He has always been my ideal husband. The idea that you could spend your life and he would just, raw dog you and ask you about potables and literary,
And you have to answer in the form of a question.
Yes.
Who is entering me right now?
But I've always had a fantasy of being Mrs. Alec Trebek. He's just so handsome and when he had that mustache and the perm in the 80s. And then he aged so beautifully.
He did.
Yeah, and he was always a moment of calm in your day when you turned on Jeopardy. It always it made you feel smart, and it made you feel and it's a shame.
I know.
Who do we think is going to be the replacement?
Well, it's, what I love about the show is that they never dumb it down. It's one of those shows that you can walk away feeling really, really smart. And they never dumb it down unless it's Celebrity Jeopardy. And then they ask, who's the president of the United States? Which is debatable. But I think they're talking about George Stephanopoulos. I heard that on the Howard Stern show yesterday. I think Neil deGrasse Tyson would be a good.
He would.
He's affable. He's knowledgeable. He's a scientist. So what Alex Trebek made it seem like he knew the answers, but he never came across as patronizing. He never came across as, oh, I know this and you don't.
We have to move on, but he visited the set of RuPaul's Drag Race, like your son, Alec.
He did.
Ru was doing a video question, and he came on the set. He agreed to be taped doing stuff on the show, and he showed up. He was the most genteel gentleman. You know, sometimes when you get straight guys around drag queens, weird things happen. And he's an open spirit and open soul, and it was wonderful.
He was a big Latrice fan, is what I think I remember everyone on the internet saying. And this is just for
wouldn't that been a great question? It would have been like, who is Latrice motherfucking Royale?
He said who is large and in charge, I think was his Latrice thing.
I may have stripped some of those lines, but let's not get into it.
I just want to say that I had always said my whole life that you're famous when there's a Halloween costume after you, when you're made fun of on Saturday Night Live, and when you're an answer on Jeopardy. And just last year, I used to say that all the time when I was younger to my friend Lisa. And Lisa Edelstein was an answer on Jeopardy. And the question was, she was a former Queen of the Night turned house star. And so she called me, because they call you beforehand and they tell you and they give you all the, the information that you're going to be an answer the week before. And so she called and she was like, oh my God, I'm finally famous. I finally made it. And so I was so proud of her to be an answer. So that's my Alex connection.
I love that. It is true. It's kind of when you were a trivia question or a Halloween costume.
Yeah.
I with Molly Shannon, and I took a picture of somebody at West Hollywood dressed up as Mary Catherine Gallagher. And posted it on Twitter. She saw it immediately. I said, "You've arrived. You're a Halloween costume."
It's true.
All right, just one last time, Alex Trebek, rest in perfection. You can watch Jeopardy up until Christmas Day to see all new episodes. Moving on to number 9, James St. James.
Number 9.
I have been watching Blood of Zeus on Netflix. Does anyone know about this?
I just watched the trailer.
It's Netflix is getting into the anime game. They have a show called Castlevania based on the video game, and it's that's taken off, and now they have this thing called Blood of Zeus, and it's based on Greek myths. It's about Zeus's young child, who is his illegitimate child, and he's fooling around on Hera, and he fools around with a human woman, and she has a child. And to save the child and the mother, he puts them in this small town and covers the town with dark clouds so that Hera can't see the town from Mount Olympus. And so he discovers that he's going to be, he's a demigod, and he has all these powers. And he and Mamie Goomer, the voice of Mamie Goomer, Meryl Streep's daughter, is in it, and they go off on adventures and they kill demons and giants and everything like that. But the thing about it is that he's really cute, as all anime boys are, and I'm really in love with him.
You're telling us to watch a cartoon.
Yes, yeah. I fall in love with cartoon characters all the time.
Right.
And people say that the animation isn't that good, but it sort of looks like 21st century version of what's on Greek pottery. Like Greek ceramics. It's sort of, it has a look of antiquity about it. And yeah.
Is this by any chance a prequel to the movie Xanadu, you think?
Well, there are some similarities, yes, except there's no ELO soundtrack.
I'm not interested.
Yes.
I want to know what other cartoon characters you have found physically attractive, either early or growing up.
We start off with Fred from Scooby-Doo. I mean, my God, that's the be-all and end-all right there. There's Tarzan, the Disney Tarzan. The Disney princes, of course, all the time.
Who's the hottest Disney prince?
I would say, well, it's the one from Tangled. I love the guy from Tangled.
Oh.
Prince Eric, definitely from Ariel. Little Mermaid.
I love your question, but more, I love James' immediate answers. This laser.
I think about this a lot.
Yeah.
I liked Johnny Quest when I was growing up. Johnny Quest and Haji. I thought Johnny Quest.
Well, when I was very young, Speed Racer, of course, was. I mean, Speed Racer was it. And I also had a thing for Kimba the White Lion. I went a little bestiality.
Okay. All right. This topic is over. To repeat, it's Blood of Zeus on Netflix. It's James' pick of the week. Let's move on to number 8.
Number 8.
Number 8 is all about me. I have a movie coming out called Chick Fight that stars Alec Baldwin, Malin Ackerman, and Dulce Sloan from The Daily Show, and Bella Thorne. It is kind of like Fight Club, but it's with women. It's a fantastic comedy. We filmed it in Puerto Rico right before COVID. Like as soon as we finished wrapping, we weren't allowed to go anywhere. And that starts. You can see the trailer right now on the YouTube, and it's going to be on video demand this Friday, November 13th. And I play the boyfriend of a very active wrestler called Kevin Nash. Perhaps you've heard of him. All 7 feet tall of him. That was my dream come true.
We have some now that we know there's a wrestler. Were there making love scenes?
Were there making love scenes? Unfortunately, they all happen off camera. But I did walk with a limp at some point. Yes.
Tell me a little bit about working with Bella Thorne. I love Bella. I find her fascinating.
I unfortunately did not get to do any scenes with Bella. All of my scenes were with Malin Ackerman and Kevin Nash. But Bella, when we were filming the movie, was fresh off the controversy of her OnlyFans, making she had 1 million followers on her OnlyFans within the release, which was a very controversial move for a Disney star. But you got to do what you can to break away from the past.
Yeah.
But the other thing I have to plug. I became Aunt Clara for a second there. Did you want that? I have a new podcast for CBS Paramount called Hot Mess, Alec Mapa with Matthew Dempsey, psychotherapist. And we discuss mental health every week. I've had Isaac Mizrahi on, Dominic Jackson from Pose, Bernhardt. It's a fantastic, hilarious way of talking about mental health. We solve all of the world's problems one hot mess at a time.
Your podcast is about mental health, which sounds amazing. I was going to say, as you were talking, you should have a podcast, mister. You're good. You're good.
But I remember because you were on Doom Patrol, and I know that Doom Patrol has moved to HBO Max. Am I correct about that? Do you know what's going on?
Yeah, we got moved to HBO Max. You can see all of Doom Patrol, in which I portray the arch villain, Animal Vegetable Mineral Man. And it just got picked for a 3rd season, so perhaps I'll be back.
And you're also on Henry Danger, right?
I'm on Henry Danger on Nickelodeon. On any platform you tune in, you can't get away from me. My whole career. On Netflix, the UPN sitcom I did in 2005 is on Half and Half. Ugly Betty is on Hulu. Switch to Birth is on Freeform. I'm everywhere.
You are the Mary Wickes of our time.
Well, we used to say that Gary Collins was the hardest working man in showbiz, my mother and I, but I think it's you, sir. I think you are the hardest working man.
Gary Collins.
All right. Alec, we look forward to seeing your movies. Tell us the name again.
Chick Fight, and it releases digital on demand November 13th.
And your podcast about mental health called Hot Mess.
Hot Mess with Alec Mapa, Hot Mess with Matthew Dempsey, psychotherapist. I have this hot psychotherapist on the show with me. So cute.
Nice. Well, we are going to take a little break here. Before, Blake, will you magically appear?
I'm here.
Hi, darling. We want to make you aware of, World of Wonder, along with doing $1 Million Listing and RuPaul's Drag Race, which is mentioned at the beginning of the show each week, does a lot of really wonderful documentaries. And there is a new documentary that was just released, directed by Chris McKim, that is getting rave reviews. And I can never pronounce the title. Half of it's unpronounceable, and half of it's too lewd to say on the airwaves. Blake, I'm going to leave it to you.
It's called Vojnarovich. Fuck you, faggot fucker.
And it's about David Wojnarowicz, who was a great artist in the 1980s, who, when he was diagnosed with AIDS, he railed against the government's treatment of AIDS, and he was a seminal figure in the East Village art scene, and he died much too soon. And so he has quite a legacy.
So,
and you can watch the documentary yourself at home online. It's screening at #DocNYC Film Festival through next Thursday, November the 19th. And you can get your tickets at 2020.docnyc.net.
Nice.
Blake, thank you for doing that heavy lifting. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Let's do something light and fun. Let's do a little trivia question. Alec, we asked the question before, and we don't answer it till after the commercial, and that way everyone stays tuned.
Oh my God, it's a cliffhanger.
Right? So tons of industries are in the dumps because of the pandemic, including cruise ships. And this year, more cruise ships have been scrapped than the past 2 years combined. How many cruise ships have been scrapped this year so far?
Ooh, right. I hate numbers. So more of that when we come back. Plus, we'll continue counting down the top 10 things that make us go, wow. This is the Wow Report on Radio Andy, Sirius XM.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back. It's to the Wow Report. We are counting down the top 10 things that made us go wow this week with James St. James, Blake Jacobs, and our extra special guest judge filling in for Fenton, Alec Mapa. Alec has a movie coming out. He has a podcast. It's Alec's on fire. His personal. So before the break, Blake asked us a trivia question that involved numbers. So immediately I tune out. And Blake, what was that question?
Tons of industries are in the dump because of the recent pandemic, including cruise ships. And in the past year, more cruise ships have been scrapped than in the previous 2 years combined. How many cruise ships have been scrapped this year?
I'm going to say 25.
Alec?
11.
I'm going to go close without going over. I'm going to say 26.
Okay.
It was actually 10.
That's a big hunk of junk to scrap. That's a lot. That's like you're just you're scrapping a hotel on a ship that floats. I mean, how do they get rid of it? Do they just sell it off in pieces? Do they?
You have to
melt it down,
and it says to pick up big stuff like couches and stuff. You just leave it on the curb.
Oh, that would have been my first guess. I got a big thing on the sidewalk this week.
Yeah, heads up.
Yeah.
All right, now is a good time to move on in our countdown. Number 7, Alec.
Number 7.
He's still in the White House. Trump will not concede. He will not concede. I don't think he's going to concede at all. Usually I'm the trick that won't leave. Usually I'm the one you have to kick out of the house. Our exchange is done. Please leave. But I read this morning on some blog that he's staying because he's raising a great deal of money online. It has nothing to do with whether or not he is can prove he has no legal path forward, but he's raising a ton of money to cover his legal costs and a couple of outstanding debts you've read about.
Well, you also believe, though, because today I was seeing there were some big Republicans saying that they're just trying to install him to keep him for another 4 years, and that they're going to have a coup, and that's why he replaced all the people in the Pentagon, and that he's trying to you don't know. I feel like there's another shoe that's about to drop. I feel like we have
coup. Like they're really going to turn the troops against us this time.
Yeah, because the troops love him, and I think that he's going to try and utilize that and stay in. I've also heard that he has no intention of going to the inauguration. That he's going to be in Mar-a-Lago, and he will be the first president in history who will boycott the inauguration.
I disagree about the troops liking him just because he's spoken out against intelligence so much. He's spoken out against the FBI. He's spoken out against his own foreign policy team. So and also he fired the Secretary of Defense because he would not turn the troops against U.S. citizens during the protests.
But then he installed a Trump loyalist who will.
It's hard to, diabolical as he has been and destructive as he has been, it's still hard to imagine forward what he might do, the evil he might do. Isn't that what's scary? Because it's worse than like a Mike Myers movie where it's just this killing machine. He just debases everything. He takes a dip in the pool every time he swims. Like, you can't imagine the things he does to degrade every corner of our society and our government.
But it's also that it's not that he's so diabolically intelligent and smart. It's that he's an idiot. There's no doubt about it. But he surrounded himself with some truly evil, intelligent people who will do his bidding and will whisper in his ear, this is what you should be doing.
So, all right. Well, it was nice knowing both of you. I hope you can visit Victoria Island. I just want him to be gone. I want January 20th to be here already. I'll rest here.
Amen. From your voice to God's ear. Let's move on with the countdown to number 6.
Number 6.
Just because to lighten the mood a little bit, I want to talk about the election as well. But I want to talk about some of I fell in love so many times during the course of the election. Steve Kornacki has become the greatest sex god of our time. MSNBC's the guy at the board who was at the board for 30 hours straight. They finally had to say, go lie down. We have a cop for you. But he's just a 42-year-old gay nerd who does calculus at the drop of a hat, and it's the sexiest thing you've ever seen. Alec, are you with me on this one?
Yeah, it's more like Steve Kornacki. Like, he was called two nicknames on the Twitter. He had Chart Throb and Map Daddy.
Yes, I saw the Map Daddy.
Yeah. And I was wondering that if he had like 10 pairs of those khaki pants and 10 changes of that shirt. I was worried that he was having to, I would have volunteered to give him a foot massage off camera to iron his shirt.
I heard that he did have several. He sort of uniforms himself, which a lot of people are doing these days in work situations. I do mine with a blue T-shirt and boxer shorts everywhere I go.
Right.
But because I had some friends who were freaking out that he was unclean. They were really worried about.
I think he had a nice little stank on him by the end. I think I would have sniffed those pits. I do want to also say, that CNN, they think that they have 3 hunks. That their top 3 hunks are, Anderson Cooper, Chris Cuomo, and Don Lemon. And there's something to say for each of those men. But if you really watch CNN, you know that the real true hunks are in the field. And it's a guy named Jeremy Diamond, who is a bearded hunk who is so sexy. Phil Mattingly, who is their sort of wasp pretty boy who looks good in a polo shirt. There is Shimon Prokupez, who is a little guy who is so cute, and every time he comes on, everyone goes, Shimon, and they're like, what's the situation in Myanmar, Shimon? Because he's so adorable. Shimon Prokupez, and he's absolutely adorable. And then there's also Boris Sanchez, who I swear I used to see him in some Latino porn back in the 90s. I'm just putting that out there. And also Manu Raju, who I find very sexy as well.
Candidate-wise, I thought John Ossoff was really hot. He's still hot. John Ossoff, who is the senator in Atlanta. There's pictures of him online with the beard.
Yes.
Very cute.
I went online and I was talking about how sexy he was, and people are saying that he's a centrist and he doesn't support the Green New Deal, and so we have some problems with him, but we need him to win the runoff, and then we can push him to the left a little bit.
I'm at a point on my thirst meter where if they can just tuck their shirt in their pants, I think they're really hot. That flat stomach thing he does.
And mind you, I just want to say that, Fox, I've been watching Fox to see if there are any hot guys. There aren't. They spend all their time having blonde women on the show. They don't care about their gay audience. So there are no thirst traps on Fox, but they're all over CNN and ABC Nightly News, I might add. Yes. Yeah. Gio Benitez on ABC
Bill Hemmer
News.
is still on Fox. He's cute.
Yes.
But his soul is slowly being sucked out of his body, so it doesn't make him quite as attractive. All right. Thank you, James, for that comprehensive report. We really appreciate it. No one gets it like James does. We're moving on to number 5.
Number 5.
James, you earlier in the show said that you're famous if there's a Halloween costume, if you're on Jeopardy, or what was it, something else. But I think you're uniquely famous when they make a chia pet out of you. And yes, RuPaul, Andre Charles, our friend, inspiration, our coworker, has his own chia pet just in time for Christmas.
RuPaul! Chia!
I mean, it is just mind-boggling. By the way, this month, talk about a career. He is dons the cover of Cosmo UK.
Which, I mean, is the first, we've talked about this, the first drag queen on the cover of Cosmo, which is crazy. Not even like a camp thing. Just he's there, fashionable, looking gorgeous.
Pure glamour. He has this massive Old Navy campaign for their Christmas campaign.
I just saw it.
Yes,
and I just about the Old Navy. You are up there with Sherman Helmsley, Morgan Fairchild, Carrie Donovan. Remember all those fabulous Isabel Sanford.
Yes, it's iconic and it's amazing. And now the chia pet. My college friends Elena and Ariel and I think Mark and I, for years, we finally stopped. But we had like a chia pet that someone bought in college that we would send each other every Christmas. Someone would get the chia pet. So I hope they're not listening because guess what everyone's getting this year?
I actually might buy that. I think RuPaul should just keep going into uncharted territory, become the spokesperson for Halvaline or be the race person for the Indy 500, the girl who drops the planet. I mean, just venture into straight white male territory.
It is amazing.
I'm wondering if World of Wonder should say that should be the Christmas gift this year, is that everyone gets a chia pet.
Chia, I love it. I'm wondering because the picture of Ru on the box is one of his fabulous kind of side swept looks, and so the chia pet kind of has a side swept. I might have to get one. I'm going to have one. I'm going to see if we can actually train the chia to do a side sweep. And RuPaul had some great quote. It broke on TMZ or something fabulous. The whole thing is so wrong, it's so right. And he was like, the chia is a metaphor for life. It's about tending one's own garden.
Very being there.
I love it.
So get your chia by RuPaul for Christmas. We are going to take a little break before we do. Blake, are you back there somewhere, darling?
I'm here, hon.
Hi.
Hi.
Do you have a trivia question for us?
I do. Who is credited with inventing the word puking?
Is it somebody here to write with us now, or
Maybe.
Okay. Who invented the word puking? That and so much more as the WOW Report continues. You're watching the WOW Report on Radio Any Sirius XM. Don't go anywhere.
This is why you get paid the big bucks, Blake.
Yeah.
You're listening to World of Wonders WOW Report. Things that make us go wow.
And we are back. I'm Tom Campbell here with James St. James, Blake Jacobs, and the wonderful, the talented Alec Mapa. So glad to have you here with us.
Hello, America.
Fenton is on assignment, but he'll be back shortly. We are in the midst of counting down the top 10 things that made us go wow. But first, before the break, Blake asked us the most intriguing trivia question. Blake?
Yeah, who is credited with inventing the word puking?
I would say Sir Edmund Pukes-a-lot. He was a very famous socialite back in the 1800s.
Not too far off.
Really? Okay.
I'm going to say it was Caligula.
Oh, that's a good one. I'm going to say it was a Hawaiian person who sold puka shells. Swallowed too many.
It was Shakespeare.
Really?
Yeah, the actual word was puking, first recorded in his As You Like It, supposedly as an imitation from the German word spucken, which means to spit.
Ha!
I understand drag queen comes from Shakespeare as well. Enters dressed as girl.
Yes.
Yes.
He did a lot.
Spucket. Spucket. All right, let's continue with the countdown. We are officially at number 4.
Number 4.
Who saw Dave Chappelle's monologue on Saturday Night Live this Saturday?
Wow.
It was crazy, wasn't it?
He is the most unique performer on earth, right? You just think about in the 90s, he had that huge show and he just walked away, disappeared. He's come back. We see his Netflix specials. They aren't even comedy specials anymore. They're these there are these incredible events and provocative talk, and it doesn't feel polished like comedy. It just feels raw and real, and it's very affecting. And then he goes to Saturday Night Live. I guess 4 years ago he was hosting.
Well, it was the episode that right after Trump was elected, and he came out and sort of electrified everyone with how raw he felt and everything. And I think they were hoping for a repeat this time, and they got something else. I'll tell you.
What do you think of it, James?
Well, like I said, at first I kept thinking, this is wrong. I don't like this. This is too much. It's too much. I don't. But then I kept thinking, well, no, this is what he does. And he's saying things that are deliberately provocative, and they do make you think. And I don't know, Alec, where were you?
I think that he's pushing the culture of comedy forward in ways that are still new to us. And what he's doing now is it's a stream of consciousness. I feel like even with the specials that are now on Netflix, they're not necessarily like hardy hard funny, but he is positing these amazing ideas. And I love the idea of be nice to a Black person, start a conspiracy of kindness. I thought that was provocative. And he also brings up a lot of false equivalencies that he's exposed to as a Black man, the thing of like performing outside in Ohio. And it's like they kept on hearing the N-word and they were complaining, was it me or was it the comic? So I think that he's never not interesting to me.
Right.
I agree. And who was it the other week? Was it Bill Burr? Was that the host who had the
the incredibly unfunny monologue about
yes. But I have to say, and I'm tiptoeing, but like I don't want to go backwards, but I think also political correctness can put us in a box. So the fact, can we take some jokes? Can we see that they're funny from different points of view? What upset me the most, I know this is weird, he smoked.
Yeah, that was weird. Yeah, I didn't like that either. I also wonder if some of it is just, the older you get, the more conservative you get. And would the 19-year-old me think that was the hottest thing in the world, but the 54-year-old me is like, I don't know about this.
No, exactly right.
So I don't know what my gauge is anymore. I don't know where my meter is.
No, Shecky Green.
By the way, Norm Crosby passed away this week. Let's just take a moment.
Oh.
Okay, thank you. Moving on. All right, that's our little take on Dave Chappelle. He's again never boring, always interesting, always making headlines. Let's move on to number 3.
Number 3.
Breaking news: John Waters, the amazing John Waters, the Pope of what's it? He's the Pope of slut or
Pope of trash.
Pope of trash. Thank you. He just made a major donation of art to the Baltimore Museum of Art, and there was some Warhols. And as a result, you know, when you bequeath a sizable, you know, collection, you get doors, wings named after you, and fountains named after you. He had 2 restrooms named after him. John Waters restrooms. So it's so
genius.
When you're standing next to a guy at the urinals at the Baltimore, you know, Museum of Art, and you do a little glance over to see what they're packing, you can thank John Waters. You're in John Waters territory.
So I understand he donated like his entire art collection, or like some heavy duty pieces. Like there's like a whole room full of John Waters art now.
I think so. It wasn't super specific, but it sounded like a major contribution. The museum did not value it. I had the great honor once. I met him on the RuPaul's Drag Race set, but when I was working at New Line TV many moons ago, we flew to Baltimore to meet him in his house to talk about doing kind of like a John Waters anthology series, sort of like Twilight Zone meets John Waters. Anyway, his house was full of art. It was a very traditional house filled with wacky art. And I'll never forget, in one of his in the like the guest bedroom that had 2 twin beds with like eaves, and, it would be like a little kid's bedroom. The closet, which was a rather large closet for a house of that era, was an art installation that he had just had installed, and it was to look like a mass bomber had just left his room. So it was like the desk, a parka, a Mountain Dew, fertilizer, a map of a stadium. I mean, detail. It's a famous artist. I can't remember who. I keep wondering, is that going to be in the museum? Are they tearing down the closet of his guest bedroom? But,
well, I know he also has a room in his house that is nothing but fake food. He collects fake food, like fake donuts, plastic carrots. I know it's a little bit, Alec, if you've ever been to Allie Willis's house, that it's a little bit like Allie's. They have the same sort of aesthetic.
Except again, it was always in this very traditional Baltimore neighborhood near the university. It was like a college professor's home, It was but John Waters lived inside with all his beautifully demented.
I love it. My John Waters encounter was in Salt Lake City. I was visiting a friend in town, and I walked into the lobby, and the first person I saw was John Waters. And I said, "What are you doing here?" And the first thing he said was, "What are you doing here?"
I used to see John all the time at Spotlight Bar, the hustler bar over on Cahuenga and Selma. He used to, whenever he was in town, he would always spend time there. And that was always, he would always bring all the celebrities that he was with, and they would always go, slumming at the Spotlight.
And is that bar gone the way of the dodo?
Yeah, Spotlight isn't there anymore.
It's now the Dream Hotel.
Yeah.
It's now an overpriced Chinese restaurant that can't have customers inside. All right, John Waters, thanks for. I'm going to make a point to get to the Baltimore Museum of Art and take a big old, what, in the John Waters restroom.
It's a date.
Let's move on to number 2, James St. James.
Number 2.
Well, I watched. I fell into an Unsolved Mysteries hole the other day. Unsolved Mysteries on Netflix, and they had last season. They did season 1, and this is season 2, and it's not quite as good. But there was an episode that blew my mind. It's the Oslo Woman, episode number 2. Okay, picture it: Oslo, 1995. A woman checks into the Plaza Hotel in Oslo, a very fancy hotel. She checks in using a fake ID, and she doesn't use a credit card, which is, every hotel in the world requires a credit card. For some reason, she's able to get away with not putting a credit card down. She's upstairs in her room for 3 days, and nobody hears from her. And finally, somebody knocks on the door to get some sort of form of payment from her. The minute they knock on the door, there's a shotgun, and they hear something's happened in there. So they run off to get keys, and they're gone for 15 minutes before they come back and open up the door. So there's 15 minutes unaccounted for there. They go in the room, and they find the woman has killed herself. Okay, she shot herself, but the gun is positioned very strangely, like it was sort of like put there afterwards. There's a weird, curious lack of blood, and the serial number has been taken off the gun. Now, on top of that, there's also a suitcase full of bullets, which is very strange. She has no identification, no purse, no nothing. There are no toiletries. She brought some clothes, but she only brought tops. A blouse, a shirt, no skirt, no pants, no nothing. So very strange. Now, even weirder, nobody knows who she is. To this day, 25 years later, the fingerprints came back. They don't exist. The dental records don't exist. The name she gave, the town she lives in, nobody has heard of her. There's a man who made flyers. You know who this woman is, put them all over every city in Europe. Nobody has come forward saying they know who she is. Was she a spy? Was she an East German spy? Was she a drug dealer? Was this a hit job? Was she a hitman herself? Was somebody doing this? Well, we don't know. It's very, very. Oh, and the other thing is that the clothes that she did have, somebody removed all the tags from the clothes. What does that even mean? And even stranger, there were 2 other murders where they removed the tags from the clothes and they don't know who the people are either. So it's sort of a weird pattern. We don't know what it is.
All right. The weirdest part of that story is it takes 15 minutes to get back in the room again. I've locked myself out of multiple hotel rooms in various states of undress, and I can usually find a housekeeper in 5 minutes to let me back in.
True. So there is maybe like, were they in on it? Do they know? But when they opened the door had been double bolted. So how the person got out and then double bolted the door, because there was no balcony. So they had to have left through the door. And it's just, I don't even know if I've done this justice, because it's a very spooky, it's a skin crawling episode, because this woman just, how does a person not exist?
Now you know how I feel. Alec Mapa, honest answer: have you ever been naked in the lobby of a hotel?
Not naked in the lobby. I've been naked in a hotel, but I have been locked out of my hotel room in a towel. That's happened to me.
My sisters and I were playing Truth or Dare, and I had to run naked to the end of the lobby or to the hotel thing. And I was like 9 years old. They locked the door, locked me out, and it was right in front of the lobby. There was a spiral staircase, and there was a party going on in the lobby. And I'm banging on the door, crying. It's one of my big childhood traumas. To this day, I was naked in front of like 200 guests in tuxedos, and I'm crying. So there.
Very, very eyes wide shut.
The only way to really work through that trauma is if we role play right now and we recreate that situation. Take off all your clothes.
Right.
Nobody needs to see that. Thank you.
Show me on the doll where you felt most frightened.
All right. So there is a whole second season, who knew, of Unsolved Mysteries. Leave it to James St. James, our Netflix explorer. So watch that. And if you know anything about this woman who has no tags in her clothes, please.
If you've been to Oslo and you know this woman, please let us know. If you stay at the plaza in Oslo and have some clues.
Right care of this program.
All right, we have to go to commercial. We'll be back with the number one thing this week that made us go wow. You're listening to the Wow Report on Radio Andy, Sirius XM.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
We're back. This is the Wow Report with Tom Campbell, James St. James, and Alec Mapa, our extra special guest. Hi, Alec.
Hi, everybody.
This is probably your last chance to plug your movie and your podcast, so I think you should work it in some way, just really casually.
This is my last chance. No, I have a new podcast, a mental health podcast called Hot Mess with Alec Mapa. Hot Mess with Matthew Dempsey, psychotherapist. Available wherever podcasts are aired. Alec Mapa, Hot Mess with Matthew Dempsey, psychotherapist. We talk about it's a celebrity podcast where we talk about mental health, and it's in a fun, informative way. And I have a movie with Alec Baldwin, Malin Ackerman, and Bella Thorne coming out this Friday the 13th on video on demand, digital on demand, called Chick Fight.
Very deep, very deep. I like that. This is your Oscar. This is it. I feel it. I feel it for you. We have reached the most exciting time of the week for like at least 4 people in the world. And that is, we are about to announce the number one thing that made us go, wow, this week.
Number 1.
It's total, delayed gratification. But where were you when the networks, Fox, CNN, everyone announced that Joe Biden was our president-elect and Kamala Harris was our vice president-elect? Alec, where were you?
I was in bed and my husband walked in and said they called it. And it was Saturday. Was it Saturday? Did they call it on Saturday, honey? And it felt like it had been Tuesday all week. Like it just literally felt like Tuesday had finally come to an end. But he came in and they said they called it. And I was elated.
Was there a moment of celebration in your home or your neighborhood or anything?
There was a lot of car honking in the neighborhood in the very trendy area of Los Angeles where I live. But basically, we were on the phone all day long, just talking to loved ones and having tearful talks about what a relief this was to kind of wake up to this kind of news after 4 years of waking up and going, oh my God, are we going to make it? Are we going to live through this day?
Because as much as Trump is taking away the joy for us, I want us to take this moment to recognize the joy. James, where were you when you found out? And was it Monday or Sunday? Did you sleep through the weekend? What happened?
No, well, I mean, I don't think I slept at all from Tuesday to Saturday. I literally, I would go do 2-hour shifts and wake up and reach for my Twitter, do 2 more hours, wake up and do CNN and NBC. And finally, after it was called and I was able to watch all the joyous celebrations in New York, LA, Paris, Amsterdam, everybody around the world seemed to be, just explode in just joy. So then I was able to, I slept about 12 hours afterwards, and it was like the nicest sleep I've had in years.
Wonderful. Like you, I saw it on TV. I was just so keeping everything tampered down and just waiting and being like super patient. And I saw it on TV. I was excited to call my brother and sister. I let them know. And then this is a really second story. I had to go pick up some at the pharmacy. So prescription. So I was at the CVS at La Cienega in Santa Monica, and it was jammed. And people were like honking their horns. Where I was, it was socially distanced because people were in their cars, and it literally was black, white, gay, trans. Everybody was just, and it was this spontaneous kind of eruption of joy. And I swear, and I guess I've seen pictures of this, but my friend Scott had literally a pot with a spoon. Like everyone just wanted to make noise and like get it out, like yay. And
it's funny because in New York, I was seeing people and they would lean out their window and you could hear going up and down the avenues. Like when do you ever hear people with pots and pans on Park Avenue? It was just.
Did you see the double rainbow in West Hollywood the day of the announcement?
No.
That's my window to the world.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a double rainbow over Santa Monica Boulevard the day of the announcement.
That's amazing.
Blake, where are you? Come back, darling.
Hi,
where were you when you found out about our fabulous election results?
Well, it was Saturday morning early, and I'd spent all Friday night celebrating in preparation. So I'd only been asleep for like 3 hours, and I might have gotten up and had another celebratory cocktail.
Oh, you're on the Alec Mapa diet, I see.
Yeah, there you go. It's the breakfast of champions.
Yes. Well, we've come to that part where the show we have to say goodbye. I love seeing you, Alec. Thank you for joining us.
Likewise. Thanks for always having me on. You've got
always a pleasure. We love you.
Yeah.
Love you back.
Blake, is there any last plugs that I ignored because I'm a bad host that we should do, or should we just wrap it up?
Well, we just announced the 2020 WOWY Award nominees. They're live this week. And Mariah Carey, Poppy, Monroe Bergdorf, Pat McGrath, Daphne Guinness, and many more of the celebs have already reshared our posts.
Daphne reshared? Oh my God, that's so glamorous.
Yeah. It'll be streaming on December 4th with extra special live performances. So check out the WOW Report for a full list of the nominees.
And this is the first year that we won't be able to have a ceremony or a party, so it's all digital, but it doesn't diminish the excitement that we're feeling.
Well, that may make it even bigger, because who knows who can send something in.
Well, because we always had to nominate people that we thought might come. So this year, the sky is the limit. We can nominate Mariah Carey.
Let's just say James has won 19 of them, okay?
And went to every single ceremony.
I love you all. I mean it. And everybody out there listening or watching, please come back next week. Until then, go out and do something that makes the world go, wow. Mwah, mwah, mwah.